Hey, it's time for another edition of Why Are You Awake? Paul Farahvar here, your host. This week we have comedian Michael Meyers. Check it out. If you're listening to this podcast, go over to my YouTube page at youtube.com/paulfcomedy and start watching it. Subscribe, tell your friends, share it. If you see the clips that we're posting, share those as well. Make sure you follow Michael Meyers as well. Check out his new special. Follow me on Instagram at Paul Farahvar. Check out my website, paulfcomedy, for upcoming dates. Also, don't forget to check out our sponsors. As some of you know, I used to be a practicing lawyer in Chicago. I no longer practice, but from time to time, I need a lawyer. And when I need a lawyer, I call my friend Scott Shapiro. Scott Shapiro has been practicing law for over 25 years in Chicago. He does it all, from workers' compensation to personal injury, employment issues, and even entertainment law and contract needs. If you need a lawyer, call my friend Scott. 312-648-8800. That's 312-648-8800. Or you can email him at scott@scottshapirolegal.com. Tell him I sent you. You're welcome. You love sex. Everyone does. Have you ever used sex toys? Ever wanted to? Or you just feel weird about the whole thing? Well, Love Shop Toys has been in the business of destigmatizing sex toys for years, 20 years. You want a sex toy? Go to loveshoptoys.com and check out their huge variety of options. Whether you're straight, gay, trans, whatever you're into, Love Shop Toys has something for you. And if you're uncomfortable about it, guess what? They send things discreetly so no one has to know about whatever you're into. And even if you're not very active in the sex toy business, check it out. loveshoptoys.com. They send you everything, and it's free shipping for everything over $69. In addition to the free shipping, if you use the code AWAKE69, you get 20% off your whole purchase. That's right, AWAKE69. Go to loveshoptoys.com/awake69 right now and get your stuff. Get your toys. Have some fun. You're welcome. This week we have one of Chicago's favorite comedians, Michael Meyers. Michael.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. How come I can't hear you as well?
I don't know.
Did I turn you down by accident? Keep talking.
Hello. Hello. Hello.
Oh, there we go.
Hello.
All right.
You got it? All right.
Michael Meyers, you are a staple of the Chicago comedy community.
Yeah.
Why is that? I'm just kidding.
I think it's because I've been doing it long enough and haven't pissed off at a lot of people. I don't know.
I don't think you've. Can you piss off anybody? Have you, without naming names, have you had beefs?
No, I don't think I've had real beefs with anybody. I try to avoid that.
Okay, mostly. That's a good thing.
Yeah. I'm sure there's some things that I've done that people don't like, but it's never been too big.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I have a funny story. I don't know if you remember this, but I booked a show. So I have a friends who have shows in the suburbs that from my music days, we were talking about that before, and I just help them book comedy. And I don't produce the shows because I don't want to be involved in the drama of people hitting me up for spots. So what I usually do is just give them a bunch of clips and let them pick. Mm-hmm. And that's how it's been for years, and that's how I've sustained avoiding any problems. Yeah. We had booked a comedian by the name of Joseph McMahon.
I know this story well, yeah.
One of my favorites who still makes me laugh when I see one of his tweets, and I quote his joke at least once a month anytime someone talks about being raised Catholic. The first thing I come about
is that the Bishop Keith?
No, I was raised Catholic but molested
Lutheran.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of my favorite jokes. Anywho, they had booked him. I was away. I don't remember where I was, but all of a sudden I get a text from the owner saying, "Where's the comedian?" And I was like, what? So Joe, in his infinite wisdom, Joe is a very good guy, very funny guy, but business or I don't know. What's the word? Common sense?
I think that Joe's just a very, I mean, at the time, I think everybody would agree that at the time he was like the funniest person in Chicago.
Funniest person. But
and he also, but with that, he also would not live up to certain things that he agreed to.
Yes.
But he was so funny that it just was like...
Didn't matter.
It didn't matter.
He was unreliable. Yeah, that's a good way to say it. Yeah. But he did my Everyone's a Lawyer show. He created that show with me, essentially. The character of him being on that show was huge for my show.
Like a Southern lawyer kind of thing.
Yeah, he was perfect for that show. Never prepared and always won.
Right.
And anyway, in his infinite wisdom, he decided, without telling anyone, that he would just substitute you as the headliner.
Well, okay. So what happened was he was doing the show with M. Brown.
Okay.
And he did not have a car. So he assumed that M. Brown was going to give him a ride to the show.
Oh, M. Brown was on the show too.
Right.
Okay.
But M lives in like Blue Island or something like
south.
that.
And the show was on the south.
Right. So
South Chicago.
Joe was just like, oh, there's no way that I can get to the show. So he messaged me and he's like, hey, you're the only person I know with a car that can do this amount of time. Do you want to go do this show? And I was like, truth be told, I had been drinking a little bit. I was like, I don't know. And it was like really wet and icy out too. And then I was like, yeah, sure, I'll do it. And then I remember I was there, but M was not there.
Okay.
So I messaged you and was like, hey, Joe's having me fill in. Do you have M's number? Because he's not here. And your response was, filling in. And I was like, yeah, Joe couldn't do the show. He's like, but they asked for Joe. And I was like, well, I'm here. And
right.
Yeah. And then M eventually did show up. It ended up being a fun show.
Yeah, but they were like expecting Joe.
Yeah,
I guess because they were promoting Joe.
Also, I think Joe had just done like Just for Laughs and had people wanted to see.
Yeah.
And instead they got me,
which is fine if you didn't expect somebody else.
Right.
But I just remember that they were like, this isn't who we booked. I was like, well, it's the same. And then, but I had no idea Joe had never contacted me to tell me any of this. I could have like finessed it if I knew, but I think I was about to go on stage wherever I was. I was like, why is this happening right now?
Yeah, that was, I mean, on his end, that was probably not the smartest thing to do, to just be like, I'll just book.
I'll just sublease the comedian spot. And then I remember you're like, hey, can I get a check? I'm like, I have a check to Joe McMahon.
Yeah, that was, you're like, that was the one thing where I was like, okay, am I going to actually get paid for this to Joe? But
I was like, maybe Joe can pay you. And then,
But I ended up getting paid. And
okay, good.
Yeah.
They were like mad because he wasn't there. And they took it out on you, which is not your fault.
Yeah. And also the crowd really enjoyed my set.
Yeah.
And like even the staff did. Like I don't know about the owner, but the staff like wrote on because I got a free pizza.
Yeah.
They wrote like references to my jokes on the pizza box.
Oh, that's hilarious.
So I was like, well, I don't understand what everybody's pissed off about. Like, it seems like everybody's very
I don't
happy.
know. I to this day, I just remember that story. I was like, who does that? Like, I was like, that's weird, right? I mean,
Joe
I never.
McMahon does it, yeah.
But I think we started comedy about the same time. You came on the scene a little after me, I want to say. I don't remember when you started.
Well, I started in Columbus, Ohio in like 2011, and then I moved here in 2015.
What brought you to Chicago, or how did you hear about this town?
Honestly, comedy. I'd been out here a few times. My cousin had moved out here. He doesn't do comedy, but he kind of did a little bit, but he just moved here. And so I was like, I'm going to come out and do it. And I came out and did a couple open mics. Oddly enough, the first weekend that I came to Chicago to do comedy was the weekend that Dan Ronan died.
Oh, wow, yeah.
And so that was kind of a strange...
sad time, yeah.
And I was just like, I don't know who this guy is, and I just wanted to do some comedy. But then I came out like a year later and actually moved out.
Why did you leave Columbus to do comedy here?
Because, Columbus now is actually strange. Like, they got these really great shows there.
Don't Tell is blowing up
there. And, like, the Funny Bone, I think, is a little more open to local people.
That's in Liberty Township?
Well, there's one in Liberty that's around Cincinnati.
Oh, that's right.
The Columbus Funny Bone.
Yeah.
But when I was in Columbus, they did not work local people at the Funny Bone.
That's so fucking weird.
There were like 3 local comics they would work. So it was just
Matt Rife was from there, right? You guys were tight?
Yeah. Me and Matt Rife, we cut our teeth together in the Columbus, Ohio scene. And have had varying degrees of success.
Isn't he from there, though? Or?
He is, but I don't know that I ever met him. Because I know that he did it when he was like 16 or something.
Yeah, he was really young.
So I think he actually may have like started before me.
Okay.
And then had already moved to like L.A. Because I know some people like that I started around or earlier than me said they'd seen him when he was like real young.
Yeah, he was. He was already. I had seen him in L.A. when I was, I think, like 2017. He was already there. So you just missed each other.
But in Columbus, it was like there was like one open mic a week. There were like 2 that were pretty decent.
Yeah.
There were no real independent shows that were like regular and drew crowds. So it was very much like you kind of hit a ceiling real quick. And I just also wanted to get out of Columbus because I was feeling a little bit like Groundhog's Day. So
same thing.
Yeah.
Repetitive.
Yeah.
That's like the movie Groundhog's Day.
Yeah.
Is that the reference?
Mm-hmm.
I just want to make sure everyone understood.
So I came to Chicago, and I've been here for 9 years.
Why did you start doing comedy? What's your origin story?
I always wanted. I don't know. I like grew up watching stand up on Comedy Central. Like when I would stay home from school sick or whatever, I always watched the shitty movies that they'd play. Soul Man.
Oh yeah, that holds up.
C. Thomas Howell in blackface. It's that was a
holds
childhood classic for me, And I watched that a bunch. And then they'd always have like lounge lizards and premium blend.
Oh yeah.
And so I'd watch all those.
Who were your favorite comics growing up?
I mean, I think that like if I think about like the things that I can remember the most, like the Mark Curry half hour from Comedy Central Presents was like hilarious.
Oh wow!
Sinbad's his specials.
This is not what I expected from you.
Well, it's just like those were the ones that I felt like played the most, and they're the ones that I watched the most. So like. That was great. And then I would like watch Kids in the Hall and stuff like that.
Holds up. Kids in the Hall is still amazing.
Yeah.
It's on Amazon now. You could watch it for free.
Yeah, I was watching that I didn't watch the new season, but when they were bringing that back, I was catching up on the old episodes. But and then as like I guess I got a little bit older, obviously like Mitch Hedberg was huge. And David Tell's Skanks for the Memories was like still I think one of the best comedy albums of all time.
I remember David Tell's late night show and when he came to Chicago.
I have that on DVD.
Such a great show.
Yeah, I still watch it sometimes. It's great.
That's how I got introduced to David Tell because I was like, I knew he did stand-up comedy, but I just loved his interviews and I was like, that's so fun. That's all I wanted to do. And I was a night owl back then too, so I was like, I'm learning about all these places.
I always love that too because it'd always start with him at a comedy club. Like I watched the Chicago one recently. It's at Zany's, and I'm like, "Oh, that's cool." There's Zany's, and he always walks out of the club and he just goes, and it's always him walking out, going saying something along the lines of, "I just bombed," and then he's like, "All right, let's hit the town," and then
which wasn't true,
right?
It's so funny it's so funny when comedians talk about bombing, and you're like, "You didn't bomb." Like I know what a bomb is. And that wasn't a bomb.
Yeah, it just is. I think some people get to a certain point where they're like. They're disappointed if they don't, get a certain response.
Don't get a standing ovation every time.
Yeah.
That's how you are.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So when you grew up in Ohio, what were you like as a kid? Did you always look this old?
Yeah. I came out of my mom with a beard and gray hair.
I love the joke where
voice.
where you talk about your age, and then you're like, I bet the best part of that story.
Oh yeah, yeah, that's a fun.
When
joke.
you told me how old you were, I was like, I was in. We were at Marty DeRosa's birthday party about 6 months ago, and you told me your age, and I was flabbergasted.
Yeah.
I thought we were the same age.
Yeah, it's very strange because my whole life I was a baby face, and I looked young. And then
he's 26, everyone, just so you know. Yeah.
And then I would say within the past 6 years, my look has become rapidly deteriorating. I guess so.
It's not deteriorating. It's just you have older. So much gray hair.
Yeah. I mean, I always had gray hair when I was younger, not like a ton of it. And I also grew my hair out, so I feel like you can see the grays more with that.
That's true.
And now I'm doing the beard, and the beard's got these gray streaks here.
It looks like you colored it red.
Yeah.
And then you just forgot to hit
People
spots.
have asked me if I color my beard. And I'm like, you think I do this as you think
a
I
character?
Take the time? Right.
So you were in Ohio. You were already old as a kid with a baby face.
Mm-hmm.
What were you like as a kid? I just picture you as just aloof and playing with Legos.
Yeah, I mean, I was
20.
the youngest of 3, and I had 2 older sisters. I think I played a lot by myself. And
were they a lot older than you, or
5 and 3 years? So, so yeah, I did a lot of stuff by myself. But I had friends, and I wasn't a loner or anything like that. But and I don't know. I know that when I was real young, I used to talk a lot, and my parents bring up how much I used to talk. And how they would just tune me out.
And now they're like, why don't you talk to us anymore?
Yeah. And then when I was 15 or something, I started not talking as much. And then they were like, are you on drugs?
Were you on drugs?
No, I didn't start doing drugs until I was 16. So, yeah.
So they just drew you to drugs.
Yeah.
You're probably like, no. But now I'm going to be.
Yeah.
Were you staying up late in high school and stuff? Or were you?
I mean, I've always stayed up late. I have always had trouble falling asleep.
Okay.
Even when I was real young, I couldn't fall asleep.
What would you do late at night if you couldn't sleep?
I had a coloring book when I was real young. I would color or draw in my bed. I had this little night thing that was connected to my bed, so I just turned that on and draw.
Light bright? Kind
of, yeah. Okay. And then I guess read. But I don't know that I've kind of more recently gotten better at reading. I was never great at reading. I'd finish maybe half a book and then stop.
In high school or let's just say grade school, you're staying up. When did you outgrow your coloring book and start doing more adult-like activities?
I mean,
17, 18?
Yeah. Yeah, I put the coloring book away at 16. I don't know, because I didn't even have a TV in my room or anything like that, so I didn't watch TV. My parents were pretty on top of things. They weren't oh, you can just go stay out and do whatever.
They were strict to you, or
I don't know that I would necessarily say they were strict. They were just more this is your curfew. You cannot go out past your curfew.
What was your curfew? Do you remember?
Midnight until I was 18.
Yeah. It's a late curfew for a high school kid.
Yeah, and it was basically midnight just because that was the law.
Ohio's midnight, and Chicago's 10:30.
In my hometown, it was midnight. So,
wow.
But I mean, it's not. It was 30,000 people.
What town was it?
Findlay, Ohio, home of Ben Roethlisberger.
Oh, well, there you go.
Yep.
Did you guys grow up together?
He was actually friends with my sister and would hang out at our house. Okay. He was a senior when I was a freshman in high school. Yeah.
So you knew him?
Yeah.
Was he just a stud back then? People knew he was destined for greatness, or was he?
It was actually I mean, he was always very athletic and great, but the coach at the time played his son at quarterback.
Wow.
All 4 years and made Roethlisberger play wide receiver until he was a senior. Then he stepped in as a QB and shattered all these records in one season.
Wow.
That's why he went to Miami University, because they didn't scout him early enough.
Yeah.
And so it's just very funny.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah. He like shit on the coach in an ESPN the magazine interview. His like second season.
Well, as he should.
Yeah. But yeah.
Think of all those awards Finley would have been on the map for 3 extra years.
Yeah, they did get to the state finals, I think, or something like that.
Imagine if he would have been
yeah,
nepotism. You're in school, you and Ben are hanging out.
Yeah.
Late nights. Was he
out.
partying?
Not around me.
You didn't have a curfew till midnight, so what were you doing out and about in Findlay? Was there things to do at night besides like drink and
people just drove around and listened to music?
Were they
because back then gas was like 99 cents a gallon?
So thanks, Obama.
Yeah. And then around like 16, I think that's when I drank for the first time and smoked weed for the first time. So then that became like a pretty, like you just go drive around and smoke weed.
What about during the week though, when you're at school? Like, would you stay up late and watch TV and shit?
Yeah, but I would go to bed. I mean, that's another thing. You know, I'd go to bed but then I'd just lay in bed and wouldn't be able to fall asleep. So I'd play like, I don't know, I'm sure I played like Game Boy or some shit like that.
Game Boy.
Yeah.
Do you need sleep? Like, would you go to school like just be exhausted, or like some people can survive on like 4 hours of sleep?
I can do it pretty well. I would sleep in class a lot, or like study hall sleep. So I don't know that I'm necessarily like. I don't have a ton of. I don't exude a lot of energy to begin with.
Were you like a smart kid?
I got away with. I graduated with like a 3.1 GPA, and that was doing like the minimal amount of work that I could.
You weren't a go-getter.
Yeah, if I applied myself, I could probably do
3.2.
Yeah.
How'd you do on like your ACT and stuff?
I think I got a 25 on my ACT.
That's what I expected.
Yeah.
I got a 24. Yeah. That's fine.
Like my reading score was like, or reading or writing was like a 30 or something like that. But then my math and science is like 19.
That's how it works.
Yeah.
That's the balance of life.
Yeah.
So you get done. Do you go to college?
Yeah, I went to Ohio University.
Oh, yeah.
Not Ohio State. So.
And how'd you do there? What'd you do with your life in college?
Well, at first I was like, I'll do the business route. I don't know. Like, this is why you shouldn't. If there's any advice to anybody out there, is don't go to college right away.
Yeah.
Go do shit and get a life experience and figure out what you want to do. Because I was like, oh, I'll do marketing. And I didn't even know what that was. It was just like, it sounded like, you know, and honestly, it sounded like the easiest thing to do in business school.
Sure.
Because accounting, I was like, there's no way I can do that. There's too much math.
Yeah.
And then in my freshman year of college, I was very, very heavily smoking pot. Like, very heavy and not going to class.
Sure.
It was kind of like one of those things where I just thought that, you know, it was a little bit like high school. It was like, it'll just work itself out. And I didn't study for any of my exams the first quarter, and I got like a 2.0 GPA.
It didn't work itself out.
No. So then after that, I was like, okay, this is not, I actually have to go to class and do stuff. And then once I did that, I was like, my buddy took like the accounting class, and he was telling me how hard it was. And I was like, I got to change my major.
What'd you do?
So I changed it to education, and I studied like history.
Why try?
Yeah. So I was like, I was going to be a social studies teacher. And after I did that, I took history classes, and then I did pretty well.
When did you start? When did comedy enter were you done with college when you started?
Well, the first opportunity I had to do it was actually in a class in college. There's this guy, Keith Newman was his name. I don't know. I guess he did comedy in the 80s, but he taught a class called TV and Film Comedy. And you could either write a paper for the final or do 5 minutes of stand-up. And I was like, oh, this is my opportunity. But then I was too cowardly, and I didn't do it.
Oh, no.
Yeah. So then I didn't do it forever. I got out of college.
Wait, you took the class, but you didn't or you didn't take the class at all?
I took the class.
But you didn't do the 5 minutes?
I didn't do
You did the writing instead?
Yeah, but I did all those. They performed in front of the class, and it was like a big lecture hall. So it was like, and all the people performed and did really well. But I remember I got up and left during it because I was just like, I wish I would have done that, and then it made me feel like bad.
Yeah.
So I got up and left.
Well, it had an intense feeling in you to make you leave, right? Because you're like, okay, that might have made that.
I should have done.
It triggered
that.
something.
Yeah,
That's
I
good.
should have done that. So I just watched comedy and assumed that I would never be able to be as good as the people that I liked. So it was like, why do that?
So you just stuck with the pot and the history.
Yeah. So then I just was a substitute teacher for a while
in Ohio.
Yeah, around Columbus.
Okay.
And then and then my girlfriend at the time was going on a trip around the world. So she was like, before I go, because I had confided in her that I wanted to do stand-up. And she's like, before I go, I want you to do open mic. And I was like, okay. So I was like 25, and then I did an open mic, and first time I did really well. And it was like one of those things where
do you have it recorded?
She has it. I know she has it because I have talked to her, and I sent her something like the link to my special because I was like, hey, you really pushed me into this, and I'm, I've come a long way since that. So check it out if you want to. And she was like, oh my God, I still have that somewhere on a
Get
file. I could not. There's no way I could watch that.
Oh, it's videotaped?
Yeah.
See, I have audio of my first thing, and at the time I thought I was murdering, but it's just not that good.
I mean, I'm sure I wasn't doing great, but there was enough for me that I was like, holy shit.
That's all you need.
It was like, I've been wanting to do this my whole life. This is the calling. And then the second time I went up, and it was just one of the worst bombs of all time.
There was someone talking about this recently. I think Fahim Anwar was on Joe Rogan, and he was talking about how everyone always, the second time you go on, you bomb. You have to be insane or really want to do it to continue after that, right? And that's when you're a comedian, I guess.
Yeah, I also had the whole thing where I was like, okay, last week I did that material, but I'm not going to do that this time. I'm going to do new material. And I brought a hat. There's something that I forget what it was, but there's something with a hat. One of my hats that I had, and it was going to be the hat was going to be like a punch and a joke. And I put the hat on, and everybody, it was just dead silence. And my girlfriend was there for that one as well. And I remember I just walked. I just kind of blanked and blacked out after I got off stage, and I just so embarrassed, and I just walked past her. And out of the bar and just started walking home. And she's like, where are you going? I'm like, I just have to go home.
Yeah.
I can't stand
and she
here
left.
anymore.
She went around the country and never came back.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's probably what drove her to. What are you doing after a show? Let's start with Chicago. What do you do after you?
Well, this is a habit that I've been trying to break, but generally I get pretty drunk. And,
Are you drinking on stage too before you go on stage?
I used to drink pretty much, every time.
Okay.
Now I've actually gotten to I did a month without drinking, and I was really worried about doing stand up during that. But then I did it, and I was like, oh man, I think I am better when I'm not drunk.
Yeah.
And then so now it's if I have any drinks before, it'll be just a couple, but not anything crazy.
So you drink, you're going out after shows. You're not. That's it.
Yeah, I mean, it's going home and sitting in my apartment is kind of I don't like doing that.
What if you don't? So that's what you do in Chicago. What if you're on the road and there's nobody to go out with? Are you just going to a bar by yourself?
Yeah, I do that. Yeah. I mean, that's
fine. I mean, I'm at a bar by myself. I was in Detroit recently, and I'm at a bar by myself afterwards getting food. I don't drink after shows, but I'm getting food. It's the same thing.
Yeah, I mean, it's it's just hard to go back and just kind of sit there.
Yeah, in your hotel room or whatever.
So I usually do go, I don't know, find somewhere to just kind of sit.
When are you writing? What's your creative process? When are you the most creative? If you're not doing it late at night, I assume.
I usually try during the day, but I also just find that I don't, I should find a routine, but if I force things in, it just doesn't really work. So it's more I gotta kind of, when there's the idea that I'm this I think will work, then I write it down, and then I go try it at an open mic.
Other than drinking after a show, are there times where you were out where you're like, man, I wish I just wasn't out tonight? Like you regret.
Oh yeah.
Not the next morning. I'm saying like while it's happening.
Yeah, I mean,
give me examples of like nights where you're out. You're like, I should have been home.
Well, I mean, there's just endless examples of that, where it's like, oh, it's Tuesday. It's Tuesday. You should not have like,
Are you
that
out
many drinks?
Are you out till like, let's say, I mean, the bars on a Tuesday close at 2.
Yeah.
Do you then go to the late night bars?
I have, yeah.
Is that the nights you're like, why am I out?
Yeah, I mean, even like 2 is just way too late. It's just insane. But then it will be like, oh yeah, there's another place that we can go to. So
who's enabling you guys to do this? What's this
each
crew?
Other?
Yeah, is it like Blake and you? I just imagine Blake being there.
Me, Blake,
Blake Burkhart,
Bob Euler.
Oh yeah, Bobby Butts.
Yeah, and then there'll be there's a rotating cast of characters that'll come in every once in a while. You're regretting that you're out and about, but clearly you're enjoying yourself. You're with your friends. You're having fun. Mm-hmm.
You're not getting into fights. I can't imagine you ever.
I have never been in a fight. I have been punched in the face, but I've never been in a fight.
Why were you punched in the face?
When I lived in Columbus, my friend Craig, before I'd moved to Columbus, it was like right after college, he lived there, and I was visiting that girl who encouraged me to do the stand-up, and it was 4th of July, and we were at a party at her house, and they went to the bar, but there wasn't enough room in a cab. So our friend Craig, who was the one who lived in Columbus and was our like guide, was like, yeah, we'll just wait for the next cab. And then this girl came over who had a car, and we were like, can we get a ride with you? And she's like, well, I had like 2 beers, and it's 4th of July, and if we get all of you guys in this car, it's going to be suspicious, and I don't want to get pulled over. So we're like, oh, that's fine, we'll just wait. But my buddy Craig is like, hey, I'll be right back. And he runs down the street after her. And then we're all just sitting on this porch, and none of us live in Columbus. So we're sitting on this random porch. We don't know where we are.
Yeah.
And we just see Craig driving down the street in the car with this girl. So he just abandoned us on this porch. And then he had this red skinny tie that he kept bragging about. So we figured out how to get to the bar that he was at. And I was like, it'd be funny if we cut his tie off, like snipped his tie. And we're like, well, we can't get scissors because the doors are locked. So then this neighbor came up and we're like, hey, do you have scissors? And she was like, yeah. And we explained why. And I'm like, we'll get them back, So I walk into the bar and I cut his tie off. And he took my hat and threw it off about the balcony of this bar. And he got kicked out.
Okay.
Because they saw him throw my hat off. So then he was all pissed off. And then he's at another bar and he's knocking water cups off the balcony, like saying fuck Meyers, all this kind of stuff. Got kicked out of that bar. And then I finally saw him again at another bar, and I walked up and I go, hey, what's up? And he just goes, hey, and then he just punched me right in the face. And I had a giant fucking lip. And yeah.
You guys still friends?
Yeah, we're still good friends. I was in his wedding.
Were you the best man? You told that story?
I was not the best man, but yeah.
Do you think like you miss out on anything because you're up late at night? Do you feel like there's things of your life that you miss out on, like waking up early? And
yeah, I mean, obviously if I'm out drinking, then I miss out on like the next day.
But you're not really hungover when you're drinking that much, right?
Oh no, I am.
Do you really?
Oh,
okay.
Yeah. I get incredible hangovers.
That was like the one thing I liked about when I would drink very often. It was I would never really get too hungover unless I did shots.
Yeah, now that's like the hangovers aren't as like physical, I guess. They're more mental.
Oh yeah, you're foggy.
Yeah. No, more mental.
What do you mean?
Like more like anxiety and depression. So
okay.
Yeah.
The crippling depression at the next day.
Right.
You shit on Boy Genius and Phoebe Bridgers. I do know that.
Yeah.
That was you.
Yeah, that's me.
Did anyone give you any guff besides myself?
No, a few people actually were like in agreement.
Really?
One guy said that I'm sure you got a lot of shit for this, but it really didn't. It's so boring.
You think her music's boring?
It's the most boring.
What albums are you listening to?
I've just listened to. I will admit I have not listened to a full album.
Okay,
but that is because I cannot get through a full album. And I like.
Aren't you a Deadhead?
I do like the Dead.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Fish too? Is that you?
No, I don't like Fish. I have seen Fish live, and I will say Fish live was awesome.
Well, what were you on? Because I used to love the Dead and the Fish, but then I stopped smoking pot. I'm like, this is horrible.
Yeah, but the Fish show is like the light show is something that I couldn't even. It sounds stupid, but it is like incredible.
Do you think if you were at a Fish show sober, you would have enjoyed it? I know the answer. It's no.
Yeah, I think I probably would not have enjoyed it that much. But I do think there is something to enjoy at a Fish show. But if you listen to a Fish album, it is like it is so hard to like listen to Fish recorded.
Oh, it's see, I actually.
Whereas the Dead, I like the Dead's lyrics are very like insightful because I got Robert Hunter and like the
Jerry
Dead
Garcia.
songs are great. Fish is just like stupid.
Have you gone to a concert sober?
When I was like 16 or something like that. I've gone to shows where I don't drink.
Okay. That doesn't count if you're on other substances.
Yeah, I mean, usually just like an edible or something like that.
Sure.
And then usually a couple beers.
What are your favorite late night hangs then? Where do you go late night? Do you just go to dive bars? Or?
Yeah, one place that we go a lot is the Lincoln Tap Room. Shout out to the Lincoln Tap Room.
We're going to edit that out. They don't get free. They don't get that
Karen, Tim, best bartenders in town. We'll go there and play pool. That is one thing that's like trying to figure out what to do later at night that does not involve drinking.
Yeah.
And I have not yet cracked that code.
It's hard. I mean, I had to cut down my drinking and I ended up eating a lot instead, which is not a good substitute.
The thing is like, if I don't drink, then I'm like chugging pop and eating sweets. Yeah. You got to get the sugar fix.
Right.
You got to get into a routine, and I'm very bad at routines.
Well, you do have a routine. It's drinking after a show. That's still a routine.
I have a routine, but it's all self-destructive, I feel like. So it's like you got to build good habits. I haven't found that.
What do you think constitutes a good habit? And more importantly, what are you doing to find these good habits?
I think a good habit is just like being something that would be beneficial to you and your overall well-being.
Okay.
And what have I done? I've written down on a piece of paper, be healthier.
Okay.
And that's the extent.
Do you have those lined up everywhere around your house?
Just in a little notebook. And I usually only write that when I'm like feeling particularly shitty.
Well, you got to start. Do you go to your doctor? Do you have a doctor's appointment regularly?
Paul, I have the worst health insurance of all time, and I have not.
Thanks, Obama.
Yeah, I went to the doctor. I went to the doctor for a physical.
1997. Yeah,
pre-pandemic, I went, and it was like the doctor's office, which is very. I've never been to a doctor's office that has cash only. It was cash only.
Did they speak English?
It was mostly. It was an Asian doctor who was
medical doctor.
Yeah,
you sure?
I'm assuming. Who was English was certainly a second language, and all the patients were Asian immigrants.
Okay, this was in Chicago.
Yeah, off of Peterson Road.
Okay,
and I go into his office and sit down, and there's just like boxes of loose files everywhere in the examining room.
Clear HIPAA violations. Yeah.
And then he never took my blood pressure. He didn't like listen to anything or look at anything. He came in and he goes, well, the good news is you're not overweight. And then he looked at my chart and he goes, well, I guess you are technically obese. And then he shook my belly with his hand, and I was just like, what is happening right now? And then he was just like, he goes, all right, I'm going to send you to the lab, which was like down the street. He goes, they'll draw your blood, and we'll get the results. And I was like, okay. So he didn't like do anything that a doctor does.
Sure.
In a checkup. I went and got
blood pressure is standard.
Yeah. I went and got my blood drawn, and then I got results, but no call from the doctor to explain.
So you don't even know what your LDLs or anything are?
Yeah. So, my health is a real mystery at the moment.
I think you have to go back to a real doctor.
Yeah. I'm going to,
not a cash only doctor.
Yeah. I'm going to try to do that this year.
As part of your Be Healthier kick.
Yeah.
First step, go to a doctor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I hate going to the doctor. It's
yeah.
Just, nobody likes going to the doctor. But
doctor's not bad. Dentist is what everyone hates.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm not even going to ask you if you've ever gone to a dentist.
I have. And my sister's actually a dentist.
Oh, there you go.
So I do get...
maybe she could check your...
pro bono dental work.
Blood work.
Yeah. Yeah. I should ever do that.
They go to medical school, sort of.
Yeah.
She can help you out.
Yeah.
Save you a couple bucks.
She is very, she used me in dental school as a patient to, work on. Because she figured that this is what, my sisters think, they're just like, well, Michael will surely have fucked up things in his mouth because he doesn't take care of himself.
Yeah.
And I went and... my teeth, every time I've gone, she's like, I don't know how the fuck this is happening, but you have no, any of this stuff.
Well, you probably drink a lot of alcohol, which kills germs.
That's true.
That's always a positive.
Yeah.
You don't chew tobacco.
No.
Although it looks like you do.
Yeah.
Do you go to the gas station would you like some chalk?
Yeah.
You're like, no, that's a different guy.
Yeah. I did. I've only dipped a few times. First time I dipped, I thought it was great. And then the second time and every time after I threw up. So.
Oh, I love dipping.
Yeah.
I like chewing tobacco, though, too. I was a little weirdo.
Oh, yeah.
I think if people looked in this room and they said, who do you think chewed Red Man tobacco for 7 years?
It'd be me. Yeah.
They would think it's you, but it was me.
Yeah. Yeah, I couldn't handle it.
What are you going to do to be healthier besides go to a doctor? Do you work out?
I do go to the gym infrequently, but I will go. I basically just kind of go to a machine and I'm like...
You have a membership to a gym?
I do have a membership to the Y.
Okay.
Which is a little more expensive because I wanted to swim laps. And I was doing that.
That's very healthy for you.
I was doing that, and then the pandemic came through and it knocked my routine out.
Pandemic's been done for a few years now.
I know, but it's been taking me a while to get back in the saddle. So I go to the gym every once in a while, and I'll do a few machines and maybe walk on the treadmill.
You could do these there's gyms that are 24 hours that you can do maybe once a week.
Yeah.
Instead of drinking, just go to a gym.
Yeah, I have thought about that. There's a lot of things I've thought about. I just haven't done them.
It's like golf. It's all about the follow through. You gotta follow through.
But I do walk a lot.
Walking is healthy.
Yeah. So I walk a lot.
Keep track of your steps. Are you doing 12,000?
I got a little thing.
10,000.
I put my goal at 10,000 steps a day.
That's good.
Figure that's a good one. I usually reach it. So I do
It'd
that.
It'd be great if you walk to a Wendy's. It evens out.
Yeah. I was running for a little while. I mean, I had a good routine with running, but I just feel like running's so bad for your knees.
Do you have knee problems?
No, but I could see it happening. So
you're anticipating knee problems, so therefore you won't run.
Yeah, because I'm sure I'm running a bad technique.
For running?
Yeah, I mean, there's got to be ways.
Bad technique to running.
Yeah, but I also don't stretch.
Michael, you got to take better care of yourself. I think that's the takeaway here. This was just an intervention to try to get you to be healthier and make better decisions late at night.
Yeah, intervention with two of my closest friends.
Yes, that's what we're here for. Yeah. Where can people find out more about you and your special? Where can they get your special, by the way?
So my special is called Michael Meyers Performs Comedy for Real People, and that's free on YouTube. So you can just go to YouTube and type that in, and it'll be on
Michael
there.
Myers, Meyers. We'll have a link.
Meyers. And if you follow me on Instagram, It's in a bio there, and my Instagram is at me, Michael Meyers.
Hell yeah. Are you getting some opportunities from that special?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely know that some has got, and it got like way more views than I ever thought it would. I mean, it's almost over like 23,000 views.
That's awesome.
And I just promoted it for mine, so somehow.
All that marketing you learned at Ohio University.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, thanks, Michael, for coming on. Why Are You Awake? And hopefully you'll come up with some healthier decisions in the future.
Next time I come back, I'll have.
And I'm gonna send you some. I'm gonna send you some Phoebe Bridgers music that you can enjoy. That's a little more upbeat.
Is it Phoebe Bridgers or is it
Boy Genius? I think you had to start with Phoebe Bridgers or Lucy Dacus before you get into the Boy Genius. That's what I did.
Okay.
Thanks for joining us.
Yeah,
Thanks for everyone listening or watching. Go to sleep.
Bye.